So, the year's 1985, and it was in this year that David and I started to think about trying to create more of a community for ourselves, of sharing our home with more people. David had a rather strange experience. He one morning woke up and said, "I've had a dream about the house I think that we should be looking for." And he said it's a large house in the country, and it also has on the main staircase a stained glass window. And so this was rather an intriguing dream, so we thought, well, okay, we'll start to look around the estate agents and see if we could find this house. Well, it was a kind of a needle in a haystack idea, but anyhow we started to look around, and we drove around different parts of the West Wales, and we were in a place called Cardigan and was looking in an estate agent's window, and David suddenly said, "Look, that's the house that I saw in my dreams, and it says that it's got a stained glass window. We've got to go and look at it, we've got to go and look at it." So I thought, oh, okay, well, we'll go inside, and we went inside the estate agents and said, "Look, could we go and look at this house and have the particulars, etc." So he set up a meeting for us to go and look at this house, and so we duly arrived at these big gates of this house and drove up the main drive, and it was a long drive, and suddenly we turned the corner and there was this house in front of us. It was an amazing looking house, and we were quite stunned with it, really. The old lady who owned the house greeted us at the front door, and she started to show us around in the on the ground floor. And it was a beautiful entrance hall with a lovely huge fireplace, and then when you went through this double doors into the staircase hallway, and there on the half landing on this main staircase was this stained glass window. So of course we got very excited about this, and we had a look all over the house, and it was in not particularly great shape, but it didn't need to have a lot doing to it. It was in 25 acres of land, and so there was plenty of land around, and the most beautiful walled garden, a 2-acre walled garden, which in early days, of course, had been used to grow vegetables. There was a rather dilapidated, enormous greenhouse at the one end of the garden, and this was very beautiful, but needed also a lot of work to do. The old lady hadn't used the walled garden for many years, so it was in a pretty bad state, and I've got some photographs which I'll put on here just to show you how overgrown this walled garden was. But anyhow, we were clearly very excited about this house, and then went back to Penycumb, which is where we were still living, and we got in touch with two friends of ours, two women friends of ours, who'd shown some interest in wanting to join forces with us and to run a house as a guest house, and also have like a restaurant there as well, because with my experience of running restaurants, I thought, well, this is quite a good thing we could do here. So they came down to stay with us, and we all went over to look at this house, and we were all fairly excited about it all, and the girls said, yep, okay, we're going to we'll come in with you. We're selling, they were living in Brighton at the time, and so they were selling their apartment that they had here, and in the process of doing that, while we were negotiating over the price of the house, I can't actually remember. I think the house was being sold for £110,000, which of course nowadays is absolutely nothing, but in that time it was about right, because it did need quite a little work doing on it. And of course we didn't have the whole amount of that money. We had Penacum to sell, and the woman who had come into partnership with us in Penacum, she'd invested some more small amount of money, and she was in agreement that we would move the monies over to the big house. So with our money and the girls' monies who were going to sell the flat, we had a shortfall, but we could take out a mortgage, and it wouldn't be a very large mortgage, so that's what we planned to do. Anyhow, all seemed to be going well ahead with it, and then one morning we had a telephone call from this old lady, and she was a sweet little old lady, very grand in a lot of ways. She had a very grand kind of way of talking, and quite a sophisticated lady. But anyhow, she was ringing up to tell us that they had had a huge fire. She had a fire in one of the upstairs bedrooms, trying to clear a nest. Birds were actually making nests on top of the chimney tops, and unfortunately some of this dead nest fell down the chimney, and while she was lighting this fire, the chimney caught fire, and it got really out of hand, and unfortunately the huge fire that was there took away the whole of the roof on the house, and it crashed down into the first floor and then down to the ground floor. So it was just a shell. We of course were totally devastated by this. We had set our hearts on coming to this place, and we really felt that the powers that be were saying, yes, this is going to be your house, and this is where you're going to create a community. So shocked as we were, we went over to look at the house, and I have some pictures which I'll add to this video just to show you the devastation that was there. And somehow in our heads we thought, well, I think we're going to still buy this place, which sounded absolutely crazy really. On the end of the house there was a courtyard, and within this courtyard was two little wings on the main house. One had been a housekeeper's cottage and had a couple of bedrooms and a ground floor, and then on the other side of the courtyard there was what had been a butler's flat. So there were two spaces that one could live in the meantime. One of the most amazing things was the main kitchen of the house survived the fire, and the roof above this main kitchen was still intact. So it was perfectly possible to use the kitchen. It had a wonderful, huge, great big an Aga stove, and this was a godsend, because once that was lit, the kitchen used to stay really lovely and warm. But I'm jumping ahead here a bit. The drama continued into the insurance company, of course, stepped in, and so there was a backwards and forwardsing with what the old girl was going to do, whether she was going to get all the insurance money, and would it be possible for us to buy this shell of a house. So I'm going to stop here, and I'll talk a little bit more about this house later on. So bye for now.